Good morning, friends, wherever you are. Welcome to today's cichlids and coffee. And I hope you're having a cup of your favorite beverage wherever you are. Oh, yeah. So, welcome to those of you who have been on the chat for a while. I did peek in on the chat, and some of you were saying that the cichlids and suds logo was up, and I didn't see that. Sometimes YouTube does funny stuff. You set stuff up, you get it just right, and then you check back later, and it's got an older post still up. So I'm not sure what really was going on there, but I hope it all sorted out. Cichlid Kings in the house. Hello, Cichlid Kings. Hey, Frank. Hello, my friend. I share your sentiments. I hope all of our friends in Florida, Jerry Martin, all his friends out there are safe. It's quite a disaster there, and really teaches us a respect of nature and really how fragile really everything is when compared to things like that. Really changes your perspective. So yes, our friends in Florida, I hope you're all doing well. So we have some fun stuff to talk about today, some interesting topics, something that's important to me, something that motivates me on having a channel and sharing material on Facebook. How is the audio and video? AV good? Thank you. Thank you for that. I look at the chat, and there it is from Cichlid Kings. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So yeah, today's topic is reasons why everybody should keep fish, and I'm serious when I say that. I know it's impractical for some people, but at any rate, that is today's topic, and it is an important one to me as a content creator. Oink Master Supreme Forever is in the house. Hello, Oink Master Supreme. It was so nice meeting you. Mountaintop Puffer Keeper, love that name. Welcome to the chat. Cat Sailors here. Clarity Aquatics. Hey, Clarity. I think, did we first meet on Instagram? Was that where I first commented on the clarity of your tanks? And hey, Joyce. Joyce in the house. Salient Aquatics, hit me up with an early super chat. Thank you for that, my friend. And not sure I'll be doing a video on setting up a breeding tank, but thanks for the suggestion. It sounds like you've become addicted to barbs, to tiger barbs. Is that what you're into now? I think they're great fish. A little nippy in a community tank, but still they're great fish. JD, video is great, and your audio is a little off. Ooh, okay. Is it clipping, breaking up a little bit? If it is, I can turn it down. Let me see here. Sometimes it gets a little bit too loud. Here we go. It's an easy fix. How's audio for everybody else? Let me get a general consensus. Yeah, it's a little bit up. Let me turn it down a little bit. Okay. Okay, is that a little better? Sometimes what'll happen, you get what's called clipping. Too much is coming through for the amount of, too much bandwidth is coming through for the amount of, amount that could be handled. So anyway, good audio from Robert Egan. Okay, good to know. All right, thanks, Ben, everyone, for your prayers. Okay, Joyce in Florida. JD is in the house, and I hope I can see Jerry Martin here today. I'm a little bit concerned about his situation. Not sure if it got quite as high. Oh, there he is. Hey, Jerry. Okay, good. I hadn't seen you in the chat there. I was getting a little bit worried there, my friend. You finally get that 180-gallon tank and then have it blown away. That's not what we want to see, right? So at any rate, yeah, we have a good thing to get into today. I didn't post as many videos as I normally do during the week because I was away, and but I was able to get a few of them out. One of the nice things about YouTube is you can create content and then set it up for uploading at a later date. or not so much uploading, but you can set it up so that it becomes public at a later date. So you could conceivably create a month's worth of content and then go away for a month and have YouTube actually sort of working for you on a schedule. But didn't really do that. Snorkeling Ronnie sounds great in New York City. I'm going to go back to New York City and visit at some point. I just love the vibe of New York. All right, so let's officially start this live stream. What do you say? If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, the bell, notification bell, and thumbs up. Let YouTube know that something good's going on. We're creeping up on 50,000 subs. Who would have thought when I uploaded that 29-gallon tank 5 years ago? I had no idea what I was getting into. Anyway, so at any rate, yep, go ahead and sub, please, if you can. That would really help if you haven't already. Big shout outs to the channel sponsors, Cichlid Shack, Shack Attack 10 for food, and the discount code for food, supplies, meds, and Shack Attack 15 if you get fish from him and the order is over $100. Discounts don't apply to shipping. Shipping is a crazy variable these days, and so we can't apply the discount to shipping. So also a big shout out to GP. This is a picture of one of our handsome moderators, and GP is officially the computer IC for the channel. And GP, thank you so much. Big shout out to you, my friend, for the help and support that you've provided the channel with regards to computing power. Thank you so much, my friend. Big shout out to you. And one last big shout out. Let me do this one here. If I can see, it's hard to see because I have a light right in my face, and what they call a filler light. Here we go. A big shout out to the Patreon members. And these are folks who support the channel on a monthly basis. Starts for as little as $3 a month. And the details are in the description under the video. I really thank my Patreon supporters for their support. And they are what is called the Garage Gang. Garage Gang. That's what Sane Aquatics was referring to. And he is a Garage Gang member. So, all right. Enough commercials, and if the mods want to share how to get a hold of t-shirts and mugs, coffee mugs like this one here, and also hoodies, and also the Amazon channel during the course of the stream, just go ahead and share that if you like, moderators, because I'm done with commercials. So today's topic, and I definitely want to hear what you folks Sane Aquatics says not to breed, just to keep. Oh, okay. I'm definitely not a barb expert. I've kept them at times over the years, but I would not consider myself a expert. You know who knows a lot about barbs is, in particular tiger barbs, of course, is Corey over at the Aquarium Co-op. I think at one point he had like 100 of them inside that. What was it, a 5,000 or 10,000 gallon tank he had, and he just loved the way they schooled. And then he put, like, I don't know what, 50 clown loaches in there too. And so it was like watching a, this sort of kaleidoscope, all these different colors and stripes going by. It was a pretty interesting setup, but definitely not an area of expertise. So at any rate, today's topic, three reasons why folks should get into fish keeping, and the first one, I want you folks to also chime in on this topic. You know me, I like to do lists. Here's my list. It's a real nice little notebook I picked up from my friends over at Seahorse Aquariums over in Ireland. Great group of people over there. I posted a video about 3 videos actually about that shop. And under several of them, people kept saying, how come you didn't show us any seahorses? Just happens to be the name of the shop. So at any rate, the first reason why I think it's a great reason to, what's a great reason for keeping fish? There's something to be said for that, for the feeling of accomplishment. And you folks know what I'm talking about. You finish painting a room in your house and it came out great, and you're like, yeah, it's done, it's finished, and that's a big project, right? And there's lots of little projects, whether it's cooking a great meal, you bake the perfect cake, you finish detailing your car, whatever it might be. There's something to be said for that feeling of accomplishment, and it really, keeping aquariums, keeping fish, you're going to get a regular dose. If you're doing the work, you're going to get a regular dose of that sense of accomplishment. And whether it's the servicing of the tank, the growing out of a fish, the blossoming of a fish, right? Watching a fish go from being a drab little gray fry into a big beautiful adult fish. If you're breeding, right, the a big brood, right, a big bunch of fry, that you grow out. There is a sense of accomplishment that comes in fish keeping, and I think that's real important. It's important for us to feel that we're conquering certain things as we move along in life, as opposed to falling into sort of a pattern of day in, day out monotony. That is, you get up, go to work, you come home, have dinner, go to bed, and you fall into this routine, and it's just, I think it's deadly, and for your health, for morally, spiritually, I think it just kills you. So this sense of doing things and getting a fish to recover from an illness, right, nursing him back to health, and then being able to put him back in a tank because he's healthy now. I mean, that's a great feeling. So number one, and these are not in any particular order of importance, but number one on the list is a sense of accomplishment. I think is one of the great reasons for keeping fish. Number two, and is a word that sometimes I think gets a bad rap, and that is a sense of pride. Some people, I think, confuse pride with being boastful, being full of yourself, being big-headed, right? Conceited, narcissistic. I mean, people think, they confuse that word, and I think it's actually a good thing to have that feeling of pride. Like, you really take good care of your tanks, right? And someone comes over and asks, is this a saltwater tank? I mean, man, there's just a little bit of a glow that you get inside of yourself, right? It's like, wow, that's like the best compliment. Someone looks at this 300-gallon tank behind me and goes, these are saltwater fish, right? And I explain how African cichlids, the theory is that they were at some point, but there was a separation in the land mass, and they evolved and became freshwater, but they have certain characteristics or traits that are different from other freshwater fish, but are like saltwater fish. I think it has something to do with the nasal, or something to do in the facial structure, that makes them more like a saltwater fish. They can also tolerate a lot of salt, as some of you know who have treated them, with 1 tablespoon for every 5 gallons of water. That's a lot of salt, and they do okay. They actually survive it. So there's something to be said for finishing up your maintenance and then standing back and looking at a tank and going, yeah, that tank is rocking. That tank is it's spot on. It's the way it's supposed to be. It looks exactly, the fish look healthy, the colors are good, the water clarity is perfect, and you stand back and you just feel good. You feel good, and we need that. I think we need that. It's nourishment, right? It's like nourishment for the soul, right? You gotta have that sense every now and then of like, all right, I nailed it, right? And the other day I had a feeling like that. I worked on the 90. I can turn this here. Hold on. I did some work here on the 90 gallon, and when it was done, you know, I had one of those moments where I stood back and I just looked at how the fish were doing, and just the look of the tank, and the the actual uh, you know, the layout, the decor, and I just had a sense of well being about the whole thing, and it felt just great. And I think that's important for a fish keeper to experience that. And I think it's good for us to do it in other areas of life, right? You know, a job well done at work, or you know, something. So a sense of accomplishment, pride. And so accomplishment and pride, the first two. The next one, and I think it, if I had to say that if I had to put them in some sort of order of importance, I would probably say that in today's world, with what we have going on, let's mic a little bit. In today's world, with what's going on, I would say that this probably ranks number one, and that's an opportunity for a reboot. Being able to disconnect from all of the electronics, all of the politics, all the division that's out there, unfortunately, that's going on, all the hecticness. You know, they're talking about nuclear warheads, and I mean, I hadn't heard those kind of that kind of scare tactics since the 60s, right? When we used to do drills where they'd sound an alarm and we'd go under our desks. You know, this was serious stuff, right? And but here's a chance for you to go into wherever you have your aquarium, work on your aquarium, and sit back and just look at fish, and maybe shut your phone off for a minute and turn the TV off, and just sit there and enjoy this peaceful, assuming the fish are getting along, a peaceful setting that is disconnected from everything. And it's like a mini trip to a forest without having to necessarily get in your car. And I think that's really important for us to reboot, to get away, to disconnect, and then come back fresh, you know, with all the noise and stuff going on, not in our head for a few minutes, right? And just be able to not really be thinking about all the problems, but just thinking about your fish and just enjoying your fish, sitting there and just looking at the fish. And I think that has a incredible effects on us, mentally, physically, spiritually. There's even research on it where blood pressure tends to go down, heart rate goes down. You know, it probably, who knows, probably helps with your digestion. It certainly changes your brain waves a little bit, right? And puts you a little bit more in a relaxed state. Unless you're somebody who obsesses, there are folks out there, unfortunately, who every time they look at their tank, they look for a problem. They look for something that's wrong. They find something to worry about. But that's the same kind of person that would go into any situation like that. And my suggestion to people is just sit back, enjoy it. Don't worry about it. Don't look for what's wrong. Don't dwell on that one fish with a nipped fin, or that one fish that has a teeny little spot on them. That's nothing to worry about. Just sit there and disconnect and enjoy it, and that you come back fresh. You come back fresh, just like a trip. I was up in the Smoky Mountains this last weekend, walking over rocks and thousands of years of soil build up from trees and dirt and leaves, and walking in and finding these old log cabins that were built, you know, in the 1790s, 1800s, that were still standing out there in the middle of nowhere. And anyway, it was just great to come back and it was just very, very, it was a reboot Probably the best word I can think of is just a reboot. You unplug the computer and then you let it sit for a while, and then you plug it back in, and it sort of updates and it's fresh and it runs better, and so I think we all need a reboot, and our fish can give that to us. Our fish can give us a reboot. So one of the things that I like in aquariums is setting it up so it's interesting to you, interesting for you to watch, right? So like for example, here in the 210, in the 210 gallon, that wood, the wood that's set up in there, and the fish swimming in and out of the wood actually makes it a lot more interesting for me to look at. And so when you set up an aquarium, when you decorate an aquarium, I suggest that you set it up in a way that actually is interesting to the fish and also interesting to you by creating places that they can go in and out of, like caves, things that they swim in between, whether it's pieces of wood or rocks. And so they sort of pop out of nowhere and then they disappear and then appear again. So it's really engrossing to you and really holds your attention, and also provides them with some challenges and an interesting environment to live in. And this will engross you and help with that whole reboot process that I was just talking about. The fish in that tank, of course, are doing great. You see the Nicaragua right up front. I think that's the Jack Dempsey to the right. You get that big Vieja just looming over that rock. Well, here comes the Salvini trying to create some space. Just went after the firemouth. I get some occasional chases in this tank, but I don't really get a lot of real violence. For a couple minutes, the albino red tiger Oscar was going after one of the chocolates, but that ended. I think it might have been just after a water change. You know how sometimes they get fired up. Yeah, set things up so that they're very interesting to you. And so I think I gave you 3, but you know me, I always have a few more. Now, when I started jotting these down, I started coming up with more and more reasons why. And I think the other one is it forces us, it as fish keepers, we're in some ways we're forced, unless we feel like we figured everything out. And like I've said before, the second you think you've got it all nailed is when you start getting real stupid real fast. It's when stupidity arrives, right? Is when you think, okay, I've got it all wired, I figured it all out. That's when you start getting dumb. So it forces you to, like the motto of the channel, right? It forces you to always be learning. And I think that's really good. You're always creating like neural pathways, new ways of thinking and challenging yourself. I had to really challenge myself on switching over to South American, Central American fish, using wood in aquariums, sumps. That was a whole other challenge for me. Learning how to work a camera, learning about audio, video, lighting, all these things are an ongoing challenge for me, and they're forcing me to get outside of my comfort zone and to think differently. They do this in exercise technology. They tell you to not do the same routines. Even if you go to a gym, mix it up all the time, because otherwise you're not giving your muscles what they call muscle confusion. And so you're just building a certain set of muscles while other muscles are atrophying and getting weak, and that's where your injury will come. That's where you'll have a problem. And so it's good to mix it up. It's good to force yourself to have to learn something and to go and okay, what is the temperament of a Salvini? How big do Viejas get? How big do Oscars get? Will they be able to live together? What keeps a sump? What makes a sump flood? What makes a sump not flood, right? All these things, all these different topics, right? You're always be learning, and it forces you challenge your mind, and I think that's really healthy. I think it's healthy. I think when people fall into the same pattern day in and day out, monotony, it's like a slow death. It's like the end of life, right? As far as I'm concerned. And the last point, and I think it ties in a little bit to the theme that you're seeing with the Aquarium Co-op. They have a new theme now. I think it's enjoy nature daily or something like that, right? If you know it verbatim, share it in the chat. I think it's enjoy nature or enjoy nature daily, something like that. But there's a lot to be said for interacting with living objects, whether it's your dog, your cat, birds, right, fish, having these living things under our care. Whether you're gardening, right, working on your garden, taking care of your lawn, you're dealing with these living things. I think that has also a medicinal, right, a health feature to it. And now the downside of it is yes, we do have setbacks, we do have losses sometimes, and I've certainly been through them. Jerry went through a recent wave of them. Everybody, every fish keeper, no matter what level of expertise, has their stories about the things that knocked them back, right? And maybe that's a good thing too. The ability to suffer something like that, and then be able to get back on the horse, as they say, right? Be able to get back on there and say, okay, what did I learn? Where did I mess up? How could I have done it better? Let me Google up some videos. Let me look up some articles. Let me get onto a couple forums, and let me figure this thing out. And even that, I think, has a certain, I don't know, for lack of a better term, character building quality to it that I think is really, really good. So at any rate, those are just some of the things. And I've heard that even some practitioners like counselors and psychologists, psychiatrists, instead of putting the person on a drug with a million side effects, and some of which can be devastating, instead, in some cases, they're saying, why don't you take up something like fish keeping? And I've heard from several folks who, interestingly enough, have been mostly veterans suffering from PTSD. They have reported that they've been able to get a tremendous amount of relief from being able to take care of, maintain, and enjoy an aquarium. And I think that, to me, that's amazing. That's amazing to me, because there's no side effects, except it does drain your wallet a little bit. It can, and maybe it can affect the marriage a little. But for the most part, it's side effect free. So at any rate, I want to hear what you folks have to say. Let's take a look at the chat here and see what you folks are talking about with regards to this topic. Why do you think people should keep fish? Tell me in the chat. And if I missed a super chat while I was going on and on, I apologize. I don't look at the chat, otherwise it can be real distracting while I'm talking, but sometimes I do. All right, let's see here. Let's take a look here at the chat. Chris G comes in with $5. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Thanks, Ben, for the Zen stream today. I think we all need it at times. Zen. Om. Should have worn my, my Zen, my monk outfit. So, yes, you're welcome, my friend. Yeah, I think we need, I think, especially in the last couple years, like my mother-in-law is visiting right now. We haven't seen her, I think, because of COVID. And she's 80 years old, right? And we haven't seen her like in 3 years. And she used to be a part of our life. Like every year she'd come and she'd stay with us for several months, and she'd visit regularly. And 3 years we haven't seen her. So it's been a stressful 3 years. And so she's those of us who had tanks at least had a place where we could go and just sort of take a breath and occupy our minds and get involved in something. And so I think it was more vital than ever. And I think that was the general consensus in the hobby, because when you talk to fish store owners, they would say, and I expected a different result. I thought people would be staying home, and no, the fish shops, the fish stores were actually busy, and actually had, I mean, look what happened to Aquarium Co-op. Aquarium Co-op exploded, right, with their internet business, and they hired a bunch of folks. Anyway, I think it was great. It was great for the hobby. So let's see here. Salient Aquatics. Everyone says keeping fish is therapeutic, but I'm too busy working in them and changing things or adding things. Or well, there you go, right? That's what we talked about. There's and certainly in different stages of your fish keeping experience, right? You're going to have, in the arc of your fish keeping, there's going to be moments where you're in the middle of a project. When I was setting up the sump for the 300 behind me, I was exhausted. I was physically tired, and I was just spent from cutting pipes, measuring, having something be a little off, and having to recut, and having, it was something. So yeah, I get it. Jerry's Fish Room, reason number one is de-stress. Absolutely true. I agree with that. I agree. And we need, I think, it's my opinion, you tell me what you think. I think in today's world, we need a place where we can decompress. There's the use of cell phones, right? It has a plus, but it's also a minus in that you're constantly plugged in. There's no, we're getting notifications of news feeds, of, YouTube notifications, Instagram notifications, email notifications. I mean, it's really hard just to unplug. And so, you turn your phone off, you go in your fish room, and, or you go in front of your, whether it's a 5 gallon, a 2.5 gallon, or 1,000 gallon, you go in there and you sit down and you grab a beer, you grab a cup of coffee, you just relax. And I just think that's awesome to be able to do that. So, Brian Hahn, buenos días, padrino. Buenos días a usted, señor. No sabía que eres Latino. ¿Eres Latino, Brian? That's not a name I normally associate with Spanish folks, Brian Hahn. All right, let's see. I'm reviewing the chat. Clarity Aquatics. I plan on being at Aquashella in Orlando in summer 2023. So that's where we can meet. Michael Welsh, would put starry cichlid with South American or African. I've seen him work with both, and they do get big, and they can have some attitude. So be sure you put them with some fish that also have some attitude. But I've seen people have them with both. I think Jerry Martin has a very big starry in with his African cichlids and seems to be doing okay. I don't know if, Jerry, you want to chime in on that. But now when I talked to James at the Cichlid Shack, I think he suggested that if I get another one, put him in with the South Americans. And I think they pretty much can adapt to a wide range of pH. They aren't endangered species. They're actually I don't think they even exist in their native lake anymore, if I'm not mistaken. And one of you can chime in on that, but I think, is it Mozambique? They don't even exist in the lake anymore. They're only in the hobby, which is kind of a sad state of affairs. There's several fish like that. Let's see here. And the reason I only do Orlando is primarily financial. It does require, it's about $1,000. You stay at the hotel where the convention is at, and travel, meals. I mean, the hotel's $250 to $325 a night. So 3 nights, you're at $1,000 already, and that's just for the hotel. So add a few meals in there. You know you're going to buy a few things while you're at while you're at one of those events. So it can get real expensive real quick. So it takes me about a year to save up. All right, let's see. I'm cruising the chat. Now, it looks like GP might have come late. GP, did you see the shout out? I think on the over on the shout outs. Let me see here. Was it on this page? Yes. There you go. I announced, GP, how you were officially the data management computer guru of the channel. You've been appointed, and he has helped the channel in a tremendous way with computing power. And he is I mean, the guy's building a water-cooled, he's built a water-cooled gaming computer that is unbelievably beautiful and powerful. So at any rate, he's helped me out tremendously. And thank you, GP. Not sure if you saw that shout out, but I definitely want you to see it. So let's see here. I'm going through the chat. Gabriel's Glass Boxes. What a great name. NJW in the house. Man, I'm seeing some new names every week. David Martin. You can come have my house for a bit. 2 Akitas, 2 Lab Shepherds, 2 210-gallon aquariums, 510-gallon. Wow. Holy moly. I love your combination of tanks and four-legged creatures. All right. Keep that in mind, David. I snore like a bear. You might regret it. My poor wife. I usually wake up and she's not in the room. You know, if I wake up in the middle of the night, she's removed herself to the living room. Oh. If you have a snoring solution, let me know. All right, let's see here. Was that Crew? Is it pronounced Cruis or Cruise Aquatics? Always enjoy your live stream. Great source of information. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. All right. If you have any questions, ask me now. And Gia, hey Gia, sent a super chat. Thank you, my friend. And Trenton W, super chat. You are so appreciated, Ben. I have learned so much from your videos. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Mexicali Fish Keeper. I also enjoy sitting in the middle of my fish room and just stare at the tanks. It allows me to clear my head and not think about anything but the tanks. Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. You kind of get all that noise to turn off. Jerry's Fish Room. One of the benefits is you make good friends. Very true, my friend. And there are a lot of you, well, everyone that's associated with the YouTube channel that I consider a friend. I would have never met you. I would have never met Jerry or come across GP or any of you, really, if I didn't have this hobby and this channel. And so, yes, very much so. Very much so. And that probably should have been on the list, actually, when I think about it. Making new acquaintances. And there's something to be said for having people in your circle that share something, that are passionate about something. I refer to it, and I refer to it in an appreciative way as, we're all a bunch of fish nerds. And so it's good to have other nerds that speak the fish nerd language. Zen Ginger in the house. Hey, Zen Ginger. Glad to see you here. TEW 1970. I agree, all things fish. And let's see here. Rocky and Miles. All these new names. This is awesome. I watch far less TV now, and my space is more peaceful. There's always someone there to come up and say hi, especially my bettas. They're all like little buddies. I agree. Some people call them water pups. And I think they do recognize you. They recognize the cadence and the sound of your steps. Other people come into the fish room, and the fish will scatter and hide. When I come down, they all come to the glass. So there must be something either on a vibration level, or I'm not really sure how clear they see you. I don't know how good the eyes are on a fish. I don't know. I guess they could be good, but they definitely have recognition. And I know some people say, well, that's just associated because you feed them, and they look at it at a very basic sort of Pavlov level, right? But I don't know. It seems to me that the fish, there's some kind of a what's happening? It seems to me that there's some kind of something going on there. There's some kind of a connection, right? And so, yeah, I agree. There's always someone there to. Of course, my dogs are like that too. And I used to joke with my wife about how, as the kids got older, grew up and moved out, and my wife is busy. She tutors almost all day because she's tutoring West Coast children mostly, and so she has a very unusual schedule that keeps her busy. And so I tell her, yeah, when I get home now, at least the dogs and the fish are happy to see me. So that's a good thing. It's good in life to have someone that's glad to see you. Don't you agree? As opposed to, oh no, not you again. And Rocky and Miles, I think far less TV is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. And boy, oh boy, stay off those news channels. My goodness. All right, let's see here. Ken AJDK. Hello, Ben and everyone from Denmark. Hello, my friend. Denmark. Love it. Absolutely love it. Elizabeth Wagner wants ideas on schooling fish. I'm telling you, Elizabeth, I am loving the rummy nose. The lemons, they kind of hang out a little, and they're beautiful, and so are the serpas. But those rummy nose, if you can get a hold of a dozen rummy nose, they're so cute and so, and I can see them behind the 90-gallon from my perspective, and all 5 of them are just sort of hanging together, right? And they all, anyway, look up, try and get some rummy nose. Zebras are cool. Zebras school like crazy. And neither one of them are nippy. And, they're very peaceful. As they've gotten more comfortable, they really attack the food. They come up to the top now and attack the food. I started feeding them some of the extreme community flakes. I crush them up and drop them in. They go crazy. They go absolutely crazy. And so they love them. So anyway, those would be my, I would suggest rummy nose would be number 1. Number 2, zebras. And because they school like crazy. You know who hangs together too? That is awesome, but you got to have a big tank, are clown loaches. And really, I think most loaches, but clowns, oh my goodness, to the point where they lay on top of each other. It's hilarious. They'll lay on their side and they'll lay on top of it. They'll stack up like a stack of pancakes. It's hilarious. Clown loaches. But over time, they're slow growers. You'll have a lot of time. But eventually they become monstrously big, right? 10 inches. And interestingly enough, quarries will school and hang out. And they sort of kind of play together. And I'd say I've added another quarry to the 29. And he's a different kind of quarry than the laser quarries, but now he's hanging out with the lasers. So I've got 3 in there. I'd love to add a couple more. And, you know, group of 5 quarries. They just kind of hang around like a little pack and go around the tank. And so those would be a good one too. All right, let's see here. Wingmaster Supreme Forever. Ben, I was born with lupus, 23 surgeries so far. Oh my goodness. Last year I became a fish keeper and it's been my miracle. When we met at Aquashella, you see how enthusiastic I am to learn and value every day in this hobby. Thank you. Wow, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And I am so happy to hear that you are doing well as a result of fish keeping. I can't even imagine what you've been through. So, wow. That's incredible, actually. I'm at a loss for words. Michael Welsh loves the challenge. And you know, Mike, that's it goes into that sense, those points of sense of accomplishment and pride. Because you have a challenge, right? You come home, something isn't right, you got to jump on it and fix it, right? A filter is not working right, or something's off, a fish is not acting well, whether it's aggression or illness, and you go after the problem, and it gets your adrenaline going a little bit, right? Your cortisol, your stress hormones are going, and you conquer it. You actually are able to overcome it, and that challenge, the challenge itself, and the winning over the challenge, those things are, again, like food for the soul, right? It's just a good feeling, a really good feeling. Wade Carter, he likes the addiction. For me, once I started, I was hooked, and I love using the term hooked when it comes to fish. I also fish, but don't tell my fish. Let's keep it as a secret. I always throw them back. So, yes, it is a good addiction. And there's so many things out there that we could be addicted to. And I would say fish keeping is one of the best ones. No side effects. All right, let's see here. Mexicali fish keeper watches YouTube while sitting in the fish room. I'll do that on my phone sometimes. I'll confess. And as long as you're watching the Ben Ochart channel, that shameless plug. Gabriel's glass boxes. I use my boxes for stress relief, and I am still in amazement that there is a whole entire world inside my glass boxes. It is kind of a miracle, isn't it, that we're able to keep these things, these fish alive and thriving. Are they thriving like they would in the wild? I don't know. I was talking to somebody about zoos, and I don't know how you feel about zoos, but Jane Goodall, famous person who worked with chimpanzees, right? I think a lot different primates, mostly chimpanzees, I think. I mean, did some work with gorillas, but Jane Goodall, and considered like a god in the primates. And she was actually surprisingly pro-zoo. She was talking about how there was so much poaching going on and predation, right? Animals being killed and eaten. And she said that in a well-kept, spacious enclosure, she thought that the primates were actually getting a a better life. And I found that to be very interesting. So, yeah, it's amazing that we can actually provide a quality life to these critters, and feed them good quality food, keep the water where it should be, and is it better than the wild? That's a discussion for a different video. But they're not being chased down and eaten. They're not having the local factory dump a bunch of toxic metal into their waterway. That's not happening. I mean, so there's some things to be said for it, right? Robert Egan, there's a side effect in my wallet with a 6 large. There is a side effect. Robert, thank you for that super chat, my friend. And yes, all of our wallets are a little lighter because of our addiction. Sailing Aquatic, Ben Ochart's Tiger Barb Startup Fund. Oh, yeah. You're worse than James. James is pounding me for discus. Start a discus tank. Turn the 90 into a discus tank. Oh, eventually I will. Oink Master Supreme Forever. I get different energy transfers from all my fish. Guppies, high energy. Plecos, giggles. From the nums. Blood parrots, my heart swells. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they all kind of give you something different. Swells with joy. Snuggles, playtime, everyone else combo. How about when you hand feed one of your fish? My red tiger Oscar will come up and latch onto my finger, and I start to pull him out of the water, and then he sort of realizes that he's being pulled out and lets go. But he would just hang on there. I don't know for how long. One of these days I'll catch it on video. All right. All right, let's going through the chat here. Evil Genius. What a great name, Evil Genius. Noriko. Beautiful cichlids you have there on the back. Thank you, Noriko. These cichlids behind me are from the Cichlid Shack in Arizona. All right, any questions or comments? Go ahead and share them now. We'll open this up just to general comments and questions. Chris G and Oink Master, you reminded me of something that probably should have been on the list as well, and that's the ability to share our hobby with family members. And I've talked about different things with different family members, like families that camp together, that fish together, that play golf together. They're involved in a sport like tennis, or they like to hike. Something that unifies the family and can be shared, can be passed on, can be part of an educational or learning experience that can be passed on. Like I'm like chomping at the bit to introduce my new granddaughter, who turned 1 a couple days ago. Time's flying. Introduce her to fish keeping. And when I bring her down here, and if you follow me on Instagram, ben.o.cichlid on Instagram, I've posted pictures of me holding her in front of one of the aquariums, and she is just like, her little finger comes out, right? Those little sausage fingers babies have, and she's like, and very, very cute. And so we have an opportunity here to bring her up with access to this fish room. And so she's going to be getting I think I might be getting her first, maybe her first Barbie tank or a princess tank. They sell these little princess tanks. I Googled top selling products, top selling fish keeping or fish or aquarium related products. I think like number 1 or 2 on the list. I thought it was going to be something like I don't know, fluval canister filters or so sun canister. I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't think it was going to be the. I think it was an Aquarium or Aquatop Princess Aquarium. It's this pink thing with, it's like 2.5 gallons and really cute. And so, okay, all right. I think I'll get her a Princess Aquarium. Oh. Cichlid Kings, wait till after winter to get your discus dialed in. I agree. I'm getting to the point now in the year where you have to really time shipping. And for those of you who are on the fence about picking up a fish from the cichlid shack, they can ship. I mean, their weather is fine. I mean, it's hot there or warm all the. I mean, the winter gets, I don't know, what do they get down in Phoenix? What do they get down to 60 in the winter, 70? They can ship year round. But if you're at a location that gets freezing and snow and get your orders in now, because I know there's some groups out there that will not ship to certain parts of the country during certain times of year. They just go, nope, we're not shipping right now, and keep your money, and you got to respect that. Zen Ginger, my daughter had to do a pros and cons paper on zoos. Now, yeah, I mean it's a bit of a hot topic, but in some cases, the life is actually better. Now, aquariums. What about aquariums? I mean, the keeping of orcas in large. I mean, it's made us more aware, right, of certain fish. In some cases, though, how those fish are treated can be a problem. What they're fed. Man, it's a complicated issue, but I know that a lot of us would never experience certain kinds of critters, right? Certain kinds of species, creatures, animals, if there wasn't things like that. As a matter of fact, the fellow who owns Piscine Energetics, he went into one of the local aquariums, one of the large city aquariums. I think it might have been Vancouver, perhaps. And they had a freshwater display, and he fell absolutely in love with a red tiger Oscar. And that started his lifelong journey in keeping fish. So again, if that aquarium didn't even exist, hopefully it still exists. I know a lot of them were having trouble during the shutdowns, the COVID shutdowns. They were just not making any money, and they still have the overhead of, feeding all the fish, which costs thousands and thousands of dollars a day, and maintaining them and keeping those marine biologists paid. Sane Aquatics, my garage is, hey Vibes, welcome back. My garage shares the heat. I have a large opening. I have a doorway near the top, and so however the heat or cooling of the house is then pushed into the garage with a fan. At some point, and with your help, right, with folks like the Garage Gang, I'm going to be able to set aside enough so I can either extend the venting from the house so that it breaks open the wall and put a vent there, so I get some of the actual AC and heating of the house coming into the garage, or I'll put a separate standalone unit here in the garage. In the winter, if it gets really cold, and it can get around 10 degrees, it can get pretty cold here. I do have a something called Dr. Heater. It's a rolling 1,000-watt heating unit that is very, very effective. And I put it right in the middle, like right here where I do my live stream, and I put it on eco mode, so it runs 24/7. And it'll shut itself off when the room hits a certain temperature, and it does a good job. So in the winter, I do have to take extra measures. Country strong and free. We all need a fish garage. It's a constant. It's a work in progress. That's interesting, Desert Fish Keeper. Orcas have never attacked a human in the wild. That tells you something. There was obviously, and I think I know the attack you might be thinking of, and it was horrible to watch on video because people did capture it on video. And I think that it was just out of pure frustration. It's like a Siegfried and Roy, you know, keeping those tigers, you know, at some point, something was going to click, something snapped, and you get disaster. All right. Cichlid King suggested a separate system for heating and cooling for the fish room. Yeah. You know, I have 2 walls that are uninsulated, my left and right walls. This was a garage, so I don't think they put much insulation. The ceiling, I believe, is insulated because it separates a bedroom. There's a bedroom above the garage. And then I insulated the garage door, but it has the gaps that you would expect in a garage door, right? It's not like a perfect seal. And the door to the garage isn't a perfect seal either. I can put a little bit you can buy the rubber things you can put around the door to kind of seal the door a little bit more. But yeah, I think people have recommended, is it Mitsubishi? There's some Japanese company that makes or Toshiba, maybe it's Toshiba, that makes an incredible heating cooling unit. And so I'm going to be looking into something like that. But, you know, that's a $1,000 to $2,000 proposition. All right, we are on the hour, and I have my son and his fiance visiting from the Bay Area. They were in Ireland, and now they've relocated. They're back home, and they flew in. They actually went up and picked up Grandma up in the Seattle area, and because Grandma didn't want to fly alone, they picked up Grandma and flew with Grandma to Nashville. And so they're here. Some friends from Los Angeles have come into town, and we're all going to go celebrate River, my granddaughter. We're all going to go celebrate her first birthday. So I've got people in town, so I'm going to go ahead and end off and go do a little celebrating and enjoying my family. And also my other son, who's working for the Phillies, is also in town. So I've got all my kids, all 4 kids, and my granddaughter, a fiance, and some friends of the family, and Grandma, all in town at once. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and end off. One last mention, prayers, good vibes, and thoughts to our friends in Florida. I hope you get through this as well as possible. Thank you to all of you. You are the best. Thank you for your support. Thank you for those super chats. Thank you to my Garage Gang Patreon members and all of you who support the channel and subscribe and hit that thumbs up and all the bell and all that good stuff. You're the best. You rock. So that's it for me, my friends. Thank you so much. And with that, we will go ahead and end off this live stream. See you next week. Bye-bye.